What if the fear of uncertainty is the very thing making you rush decisions before clarity has fully formed? Stay tuned for a compassionate conversation about slowing down, tolerating the unknown, and allowing truth to unfold gently. Welcome back to the Resilient MD, the podcast and YouTube channel where we have honest conversations about medicine, burnout, resilience, and how to care for others without losing ourselves in the process. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, certified life coach, allergist, and your host. Today's episode is for anyone who has recently started seeing their life more clearly and immediately felt pressure to figure everything out. Because once awareness begins to emerge, many people start to panic. They think, what do I do now? Do I need to change everything? How long can I stay here? What if I'm wasting time? And what often happens is that the moment clarity appears, urgency rushes in right behind it. But today I want to talk about something deeply important. You do not need to be sure yet. And truthfully, this may be one of the hardest things for high achieving women to allow themselves to believe. One of the biggest misconceptions people have during periods of personal growth is believing that awareness immediately requires action. As soon as they realize something feels misaligned, something feels unsustainable, something no longer fits, they think they must instantly make a decision, create a plan, change careers, redefine their identity, fix everything immediately. But awareness and action are not the same thing. And confusing the two creates enormous unnecessary anxiety because suddenly every realization feels dangerous. You become afraid to even acknowledge your feelings honestly because your brain interprets awareness as if I admit this, then I'll have to blow up my life. But that's not true. Awareness is information, just information, not an emergency. Many high achieving women are deeply uncomfortable with uncertainty, not because they are weak, but because they were rewarded for competence, decisiveness, productivity, clarity, problem solving. You learn to reduce ambiguity quickly. See a problem, solve it, move forward. And this works beautifully in many professional environments. But emotional growth does not always work that way. Internal clarity often develops gradually, layer by layer. And when we rush toward premature certainty simply to relieve discomfort, we can accidentally disconnect from deeper truth that we're still unfolding. Sometimes people make dramatic decisions not because they are fully aligned, but because they cannot tolerate sitting inside uncertainty any longer. This is so important to understand compassionately. When you've been overwhelmed, emotionally exhausted, or chronically overextended for a long time, your nervous system naturally wants relief. So once awareness begins emerging, the brain often starts searching urgently for escape routes. You may suddenly fantasize about quitting immediately, moving away, changing everything, walking out, disappearing from all responsibility. And interestingly, sometimes people judge themselves harshly for these thoughts. But often, those fantasies are less about recklessness and more about the nervous system craving spaciousness, craving relief, craving a breathing room. That does not automatically mean every impulse should become a life decision. And this distinction matters deeply because clarity tends to emerge much more reliably from regulated reflection than from emotional urgency. One of the healthiest things we can normalize is this: you are allowed to know something without immediately acting on it. You're allowed to recognize this place is hurting me. Something feels misaligned. I want a different relationship with work. I cannot continue abandoning myself indefinitely without immediately needing a 5-year plan, a resignation letter, a perfectly articulated next chapter. Amazingly, this is where many women become trapped because they think if they cannot fully solve the situation immediately, then they shouldn't acknowledge it at all. So they return to denial because denial feels safer than uncertainty. But truth does not become less true simply because you are not ready to act on it yet. Another reason people rush towards certainty is because uncertainty makes other people uncomfortable too. The moment you begin changing internally, people start asking questions. What are you going to do? What's the plan? Are you leaving medicine? So, what happens next? And because many women are deeply conditioned to provide reassurance and clarity to others, they begin feeling pressure to package their evolving experience into neat explanations before they are emotionally ready. But transformation rarely unfolds in neat timelines. Real internal changes often includes periods where things feel unclear, identities feel fluid, answers are incomplete. And that does not mean you are failing. It means you are in process. Sometimes the most aligned thing is to pause. We often glorify decisive action, but we rarely honor a thoughtful pause. And yet, pause can be incredibly wise. Pause allows nervous system stabilization, emotional processing, identity integration, deeper self-trust to emerge. Without pause, many people simply recreate old patterns in new forms. They change jobs, but not their relationship to themselves. They change environments, but not their internal pace. They seek external solutions for internal disconnection. Sometimes slowing down enough to truly listen is the most transformative step of all. Before we move on, I want to pause for a moment. I'm curious, have you been feeling exhausted, discouraged, or frustrated and not quite sure why? Are you quietly wondering if this is just how life in medicine has to be? Well, I see you. You don't have to give up on yourself or your dreams. And the good news is that you don't have to figure it all out alone. I built a 6-week one-on-one coaching program designed to help women physicians gently remove the barriers keeping them stuck and rediscover clarity, balance, and purpose. It is called the Resilient MD, just like the podcast and YouTube channel. If you are ready, you can begin today. Schedule your free clarity call. The link is in the show's notes. In my experience, many people imagine clarity as a dramatic moment, like a lightning bolt, a certainty, perfectly articulated vision. But in reality, clarity often arrives much more quietly than that. It may sound like, I don't want to live like this anymore. I need more space in my life. This version of success no longer feels sustainable. I want my life to feel more human. Not full answers, just honest truths. And often those truths are enough for now. because clarity tends to deepen over time when we stop forcing ourselves to arrive prematurely at conclusions. This month, we've been talking a lot about truth telling, but compassionate truth telling also includes patience. Patience with uncertainty, incompleteness, evolving identity, emotional processing. You do not need to force certainty in order to validate your experience. And to be fair, some of the wisest decisions emerge slowly, not from panic, not from collapse, but from sustained self-honesty over time. I notice many women secretly fear, if I don't decide quickly, I'm falling behind. But growth is not linear, and life is not a race toward the fastest possible reinvention. You are allowed to pause, reflect, reassess, listen carefully, change gradually. You are allowed to become slowly. And there is profound wisdom in not forcing yourself to know before you truly know. If you've recently started recognizing truths about your life that feel uncomfortable, I want you to know this. You do not need to rush. You do not need to panic. You do not need to force immediate certainty. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is allow the truth to settle gently inside you before deciding what comes next. Because awareness is not the same as action, and clarity grows best when it is given space. Remember, my wings grow when I listen. If this message stayed with you after this episode ended, consider sharing it with someone in medicine or not who could use a little encouragement right now. Next week, we will talk about the healing power of naming your experience. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to grab the free People Pleasing in Medicine Reflection Guide. It is not about becoming less compassionate. It's about learning how to include yourself in your own life again. You can find it in the description below. If this episode gave you something valuable, would you share the love? A quick 5-star review on Apple Podcast or your favorite platform, and a like on YouTube helps spread the word and keeps this content coming your way. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your honesty. And thank you for allowing yourself to remain open to truth without forcing yourself into immediate answers. I'm Dr. Anna McDowell, a resilient MD just like you. I'll see you next week. I'm sorry if you heard some barking dogs during this episode. I tried my best to stop them from doing that. I did everything, but they sound crazy today. I don't know what's going on. I'll try to edit as much as possible, but you may still hear some, and I hope it doesn't bother you too much. Thank you for your understanding. I'll see you next week.